Hey guys, this is Rusty from Rusty's Bronco. Today we're going to be doing an install of the WOLFBOX G900 Pro in review. I'm going to be walking you guys through the steps to get this camera hardwired and mounted to the windshield and replacing your rear view mirror. We're going to start with doing an unboxing of all the things that WOLFBOX was kind enough to send me here today. So we're going to start with first unboxing the camera. They give you some nice packaging here. Pretty well insulated. First you have the WOLFBOX camera. You can see the front facing camera that goes to the front of the vehicle, and then all the various inputs that you have. You have power, you have audio video from the rear facing camera, and then you have your GPS and SD card slot. Digging further into the box, what you will find is a couple rubber mounts, and what these will allow you to do is wrap around the back of the WOLFBOX and allow you to mount this to your existing rear view mirror. We're going to replace my rear view mirror, so we will not be using that. Next, you have a cigarette lighter adapter for power. Again, this is going to be hardwired, so we're not going to be using that. You have your rear facing camera. So this is going to go out back and allow you to hook up a power to your reverse lights. And what that will allow you to do is have the camera basically turn on and activate when your vehicle is going to be in reverse. Next, you have GPS, and all this simply does is just show you coordinates on where the recordings are. So, moving on to the next bag. WOLFBOX starts by giving you a USB style connection with your standard 12 volt power, your ignition wire, and then your standard ground. And then you can take these and use these quick disconnects that they're kind enough to give you. And they essentially give you a couple bags of added fuses where you essentially will go into your fuse box, find a power accessory or ignition powered constant, plug this in to where basically you may have that fuse, and then you can piggyback your fuse right inside of here. And then once you have that hooked into your fuse panel, you can simply just connect that male and female adapter together. So moving on to the last box you have here. This is the mount for the front windshield. So this will actually allow you to hard mount this in place where your existing rear view mirror is inside the car. So with that all pulled out, let's go ahead and let's get this install started. Okay, so the first part of this installation is going to be running the camera. So I went ahead and pulled this panel out using some Torx bit screws, and then carefully ran my wire through here. And then followed behind the bar here and gone up and down and followed back behind the seat. All right, our next step is to continue fishing this AV wire for the rear camera basically up to the dash. So you're going to want to go ahead and remove the driver and rear passenger side trim panel here. And the trickiest part about doing this is getting this through here. I went ahead and just ran a fish. Basically going to grab this little tool to grab the AV line just to pull it through. So once you have this pulled through, button it up and then continue on to running this line up to your dash. Okay, so we got the wires all tucked away and cleaned up. I went ahead and followed the factory wire chase basically up through that trim panel, exiting where the rear window heaters are coming out of, and then we went and just followed the chase trim right above the factory rear window, right into the camera. And then you can see where you're onto the camera with a combination of double-sided adhesive and just a couple trim screws. One thing I think that was nice about this camera is they give you a couple ways to angle and rotate it. That way you can really dial into the camera. All right, from the outside looking in, this is the location where we installed the rear view camera. The one thing I'll point out is that you'll have to use the optional bracket that WOLFBOX gives you. That way you can have multiple ways to adjust this camera in order to get to see out the rear window properly. Also, one thing I'll point out is that the black trim that you have on this rear window will get in the way, so you'll want to do a little trial and error to get that to clear. And other than that, you should be fine with getting this to see out the rear window. Okay, so our next step is going to be to go ahead and hardwire this camera. We're going to go down underneath the dash and pull down that panel that's right beneath the steering wheel. And behind it, you're going to find your battery control module. Now, inside of here, you're going to want to locate your constant and your ignition fuse locations. So you'll see how I've labeled here at the top. This 20 amp fuse represents your constant, and this second 20 amp fuse here towards the bottom represents your ignition. Now, before going ahead and pulling these out and doing your add fuses, what you're going to want to do is make all these necessary connections beforehand, because it's a lot harder to try to do it after the fact. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's pull these fuses and get these add fuses plugged in. Start by plugging in the constant. You want to make sure that that's connected to your wire labeled B positive to your battery. And then you're going to wire in your accessory, which is going to be the red wire they give you. All right, your next step is going to be to ground this. Go ahead and take your ground, and I'm going to go ahead and use this screw underneath the dash. It's the easiest to get to. We're going to go ahead and back that off and make our connection. All right, now that that's done, pretty easy. You're going to go ahead and route the rest of this cable back up underneath your dash and up your A-pillar trim. I'm going to assume that you guys already know how to do that. And once you have that passed up through your A-pillar trim, you're going to head and plug your USB up into the dash cam / rear view mirror camera. All right, our next step, now that we've ran the AV wire, we're going to go ahead and we're going to swap out this mirror. So go ahead and disconnect the factory plug. You're going to locate the little Torx bit, screw that's right at the bottom. Go ahead and back that out. Now you're going to grab your Wolfbox, go ahead and slide that over the existing mount for the mirror. And note that the Wolfbox uses a Phillips head screwdriver. So with your driver, you're going to go ahead and put the little screw back in, get that mirror in place. And then you're going to go ahead and pull it aside. And if you want to go ahead and plug in your AV camera, you can go ahead and do that now. Now the one thing you'll notice is that I have this little panel that's been removed. That way I can get access to up here where all the wire chases are. I plan on running my GPS just right up here, keep the wires tucked nice and out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that GPS, and we'll go ahead and we'll get that routed. Alright, so now that we have our GPS, you'll see that there's some double-sided adhesive to the back. We're just going to go ahead and peel that off. Expose the tape underneath it. Always ends up being a little bit of a challenge here. All right, go ahead and secure your GPS. Now you'll plug that into the Wolfbox, and you'll go ahead and hide all these wires. I'm going to take a minute here and clean this all up, tuck these all away. All right, our last and final step is to go ahead and take that USB cable and plug that in your Wolfbox. And we have power. Now that we have the WOLFBOX installed, I want to point out one thing. As an alternative to wiring to the body control module, what you could do is use the 12-volt accessory that goes into the factory rear view mirror and utilize that harness the factory provides you. Now, what you want to do is you want to go to Amazon, and I'll put a link in the description, and buy one of these cables. And what this will do is plug into the factory wire harness and give you a USB output that you can plug right into the WOLFBOX. Now, one of the downsides of this is that you won't be able to use the Sentry mode that this WOLFBOX provides, which allows you to monitor the vehicle when the ignition is turned off. However, if that's not a big deal for you like it is for me, then go ahead and do the hardwired method. All right, so with powering up the camera, you can see that it's using the front. Let's go ahead and let's make the rear show up here. So what you're gonna do is just wipe your finger across the screen, and there's the rear. If you wanna see both of them at the same time, you can swipe your finger across the screen to see both of them. It's actually pretty neat. Okay, and the last thing I recommend you doing after you get this set up is just go into your settings and go through every one of these one by one. You can configure these as you're liking. Like for instance, I didn't want a fatigue reminder turned on, and I turned off the click tones because I got tired of hearing the ding pretty quickly. So there are a number of different settings here. Go through the manual, they'll explain what these all do. Lastly, probably the most important one I want to point out is the app. If you tap on that and scan that QR code, that will allow you to download the app to your smartphone, so you can download any videos from the WOLFBOX to your cell phone or to your PC. All right, so now that we have the WOLFBOX dash cam and rearview mirror all set up, we really have to ask the question, is this thing really worth it for, roughly MSRP $300? Honestly, when I first got this, I wasn't expecting much. It was sent to me and I figured it was a little fun gadget to play with, but I'd probably go back to my old rearview mirror after a few days. But to my surprise, a week later, I'm actually really loving this thing. I was a bit skeptical, especially I didn't think I needed to replace my rearview mirror, but it's got some real advantages. I can see you guys with big tires going out and replacing these because those big tires can block your visibility. With this camera, you'll be able to see everything behind you super crystal clear. Also, the wide angle lens on it is really awesome. It gives you a broad view in comparison to a regular standard mirror, and it also helps eliminate blind spots that can be dangerous while driving. In addition to that, having the built-in dash cam is fantastic for any peace of mind that you have. So if anything happens on the road, you have it all recorded. So another thing I've been using it for is recording my off-road trail rides. Before I was using my phone, which was always a hassle, I was using Onyx off-road while recording, and I just have issues with the app crashing when trying to record with my cell phone. So that was a problem. The WOLFBOX seemed to eliminate that, and it just allowed for continuous recording hands-free so I can focus on my trail rides. The other thing I'll say is that the video quality is really impressive during the day. It's not really the best at night, but it still gets the job done. Plus it has loop recording, so you don't have to worry about running out of space on the memory card. So to answer the big question, is it worth buying? I would say absolutely. It's a great option for anyone who wants to improve their visibility, especially if they have a vehicle restricted view in the back. So if you have a truck with a camper shell or big old tires, this would be a great option for you. Even if you don't have those issues, the added safety and security of having the dash cam is a big plus. And if you're into off-roading, this is a fantastic way to record any adventures you might have. With that all said, I'm really glad I got a chance to try this out. What do you guys think? Have you guys tried a dash cam rearview mirror before? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.